Oh, a lot of the smells that are perfectly pleasant to our weak human noses smell absolutely awful to your dog. In this video, we will look at 10 common smells that you should avoid for the sake of your four-legged friend. And we'll start with the adorable one that will make you want to hug your pooch like right now. Before we dive in, why not subscribe and join our canine-loving community? Here's an odd question. Do you ever feel like your dog can read your mind? Or at least sense your emotions? Your dog will often mirror your feelings, getting anxious when you are anxious. They might even pick up on who you like or don't. The reason for this apparent telepathy isn't because your pooch is the next Professor Xavier. Rather, it's another example of their borderline miraculous sense of smell. If you get angry or scared, for example, your body might start producing extra adrenaline in preparation for a possible attack. In 2022, scientists took breath and sweat samples of volunteers who were placed in deliberately stressful situations and then presented them to dogs alongside a bunch of samples taken from non-stressed out people. Over 93% of the time, the dogs were able to pick the stress sweat out of a crowd, proving that they can sense our emotional state purely by sniffing. It's a cool superpower, but with that power comes great responsibility, albeit for you rather than for your dog. Chances are, the smell that is most likely to make your dog upset is the smell of you getting upset. How adorable is that? Garlic is a smell that people tend to like in specific contexts. In a kitchen while somebody's cooking, it's delightful. On the breath of your date, it's disgusting. But for dogs, no matter where they smell it, garlic is gross. Same with onions, and there's actually a perfectly logical reason for your pup's hatred of these beloved pizza toppings. Onions and garlic, and in fact all members of the allium family, are incredibly toxic to dogs. Your pooch hates that smell for the same reason why you hate the smell of bleach. It's their body's way of letting them know, don't eat that. It's poison. Whether it's hay fever, a common cold, or the virus that must not be named, a bunged-up nose is no fun. Fortunately, it'll usually just go away on its own, but sometimes it might need a little help from modern medicine. A lot of over-the-counter treatments for a stuffy nose include menthol, the same chemical that gives mint its cold, tingly effect. Unfortunately, your dog is likely to find the strong, minty smell a bit overwhelming. Everybody knows that dogs have a good sense of smell, but not everyone realizes how much better their stupendous snoots are. Your pup's nose has 300 million olfactory receptors, while yours only has about 6 million. And your dog's nose sniffs as often as 5 to 10 times a second. So that smell they dislike, it really invades their brain, and jokes aside, can cause your pooch a lot of discomfort. Imagine inhaling a whole tube of toothpaste, which also contains menthol, if you want to get an idea of what it feels like. If you live in an old house and have lots of clothes that are made of natural fabrics, then you've probably experienced the scourge of moths, the butterfly's less beautiful, nerdy cousin, who takes revenge on the popular kids by eating their clothes. Mothballs are small white balls covered in a chemical that repels moths. Unfortunately, they might also repel your dog. Mothballs have a famously strong smell, even by human standards, a sort of gasoline-y scent that can sometimes cling to clothes. The smell is overpowering to your dog's sensitive sniffer, and they're likely to avoid anywhere that mothballs have been laid out. This is probably for the best, because mothballs, like a lot of insect repellents, can be toxic to dogs if eaten. Citrus fruits, like oranges and lemons, are some of the most popular scents for humans. This is hardly surprising when you think about it. Our evolutionary ancestors lived in trees and ate almost nothing but fruit, and our taste for bright colors and fruity scents and flavors reflects that heritage. Citrus fruits in particular have a very strong smell, which is convenient for a species with such a relatively dull sense of smell, and just as inconvenient for our dogs. Dogs didn't evolve to eat fruit, and so gave no reason to be particularly attracted to the smell of it. For then, the strong smell of oranges, lemons, and grapefruit is just annoyingly potent, and they'll generally try to avoid it whenever possible. This one is fairly obvious. If you've ever walked into a kitchen when somebody is burning chili or other spices, then you'll have experienced the sensation of breathing in spicy air. You might even have been forced to evacuate until the smell cleared. It's a problem for us, but it's worse for our dogs. Remember what we said earlier about sniffing 5 times every second? Well, every time your dog sniffs, they're breathing in small particles of chili in the air. Even relatively small amounts, that would do nothing for a human, except maybe make them hungry, can be irritating to a dog's nose. Vinegar may taste great as a seasoning, but that's only one of its uses. If you have a dog, then you may already have discovered its magical ability to clean up pee stains and doggy smells. But it's also incredibly strong smelling, and even if you can put up with the smell, your dog probably can't. This is especially true if you're using it to clean things that belong to your dog, like their toys or the floor around their bed. If you clean with vinegar regularly, they might start avoiding those things altogether. So, does this mean you have to give up your favorite all-natural cleaning product? No. Fortunately, the smell problem is easily fixed. Once you've used the vinegar to clean, just make sure to thoroughly rinse the area with water afterwards. This way, you and your dog can both enjoy a home free of horrible smells. Imagine if one of your flatmates or family members insisted on randomly wearing a Halloween mask or bright clown makeup around the house. They come down to breakfast, and although you can clearly see that it's them, they look kinda creepy and wrong. Not to mention, the mask makeup itself isn't even particularly nice to look at. This is essentially what it's like for your dog when you decide to put on perfume. Dogs identify people by their scent more than their appearance, and although they'll still be able to recognize your smell through your perfume, it's going to be weird and different for them. Not to mention, most perfumes smell incredibly potent from their perspective. Nail polish looks great, but it sure doesn't smell it. If you paint your nails a lot, you're probably used to that chemical smell, but your dog isn't. Not only is the scent disgusting to them, but the chemicals in the polish can irritate their noses and cause them to sneeze. Adorable? Of course it is, but it's not particularly fun for your pup. Ideally, try not to sit too close to them when you're doing your manicure, and, most importantly, never paint your dog's claws with anything that isn't specifically designed for pets. Most people are aware that smoking around their pets is a bad idea, especially indoors. It's essentially the same reason why it's bad to smoke around children, albeit with less of a risk of your pet picking up the habit. They have little lungs that are less equipped to handle secondhand smoke, but dogs also just hate the smell of cigarettes. Cigarette smoke tends to cling to anything it touches, especially fabrics and, unfortunately, fur. A dog who has been near someone smoking cigarettes might have to put up with that awful smell on their fur for hours, having no idea why they can't get it off. What if we told you that all the dog troubles are because of a few specific myths that no longer hold true? In this video, we'll cover 7 pieces of the so-called common knowledge that will totally change the way you look at your dog, maybe even literally.